You've been running on faulty programming your entire life, and you don't even know it. Every financial decision you've ever made, every opportunity you've missed, every time you've settled for less, it wasn't bad luck. It wasn't the economy. It wasn't your boss. It was a set of invisible instructions running in your subconscious mind since childhood. Instructions you never agreed to, but follow religiously. I spent 20 years figuring this out the hard way. 20 years of struggle, confusion, and asking the wrong questions. But what I'm about to share with you in the next 14 minutes, this is the cheat code I wish someone had given me at 20. 2 decades of lessons, condensed into minutes. So pay attention, because every single thing I'm about to tell you came at a price you don't have to pay if you're willing to listen. The poverty code. Here's the first lesson that took me a decade to understand. Your relationship with money was decided before you could even count it. Think about that for a moment. Before you had any say in the matter, your brain was downloading beliefs about wealth, success, and what you deserve. Your parents argued about bills, downloaded. Your teacher said money doesn't buy happiness, downloaded. You watched wealthy people get mocked on television, downloaded. Give me a child until he is 7, and I will show you the man. The ancient philosophers understood something we've forgotten. The foundation is everything. And your financial foundation was built with borrowed bricks. Every limiting belief about money you carry right now isn't yours. It's inherited code. Code running silently in the background of your mind, destroying your financial future while you blame external circumstances. The wealthy don't have better opportunities. They have different programming. And until you understand that distinction, you'll keep getting the same results. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. The comfort trap. The second lesson took me even longer to accept. Comfort is the enemy of growth. And I don't mean physical comfort, I mean psychological comfort. Your brain has one primary function: keep you alive. And the easiest way to do that is to keep you doing what you've always done. Same job, same income, same results. Your subconscious doesn't care if you're happy or wealthy, it cares that you're predictable. Predictable. That's why every time you try to change your financial situation, something pulls you back. It's not bad luck. It's your own brain sabotaging you to maintain the status quo. If these patterns are starting to look familiar to you, hit like and subscribe to reprogram more of these invisible blocks, because what I'm about to reveal goes even deeper. The research is clear. 95% of your daily decisions are made unconsciously. 95%. You think you're choosing your financial destiny, but your subconscious already decided it for you years ago. The question is, are you brave enough to override that programming? Speaking of brave, fear is a liar. Here's lesson 3, and it might be the most important one. Fear is not a signal to stop, it's a signal that you're growing. I wasted years avoiding the things that scared me financially, asking for raises, starting businesses, making investments. And here's the twisted irony. The fear I was running from was never about the action itself. It was about the story I told myself about what failure would mean. Everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. The wealthy have the same fears as everyone else. The difference: they've learned to act despite the fear. They feel it and move anyway. Fear into action into reward. Your amygdala, that primitive part of your brain, cannot distinguish between a saber-toothed tiger and sending an important email. It triggers the same fight or flight response. But here's what nobody tells you. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is recognizing that the fear response is outdated software trying to run on modern hardware. Fear is yesterday's protection becoming today's prison. And this leads us to something even more uncomfortable to hear. You teach people. Lesson 4 shattered my ego. People treat you exactly how you've trained them to treat you. Read that again. Every underpaid job you accepted. Every time you said yes when you meant no. Every boundary you let someone cross. You were teaching the world how to value you, and the world was taking notes. This applies to your relationships with money too. Every time you accept less than your worth, you're sending a signal to your subconscious that confirms your poverty programming. You're literally reinforcing the code that keeps you broke. Self-worth equals net worth, not always in direct proportion, but always in connection. The wealthy understand something fundamental. You don't get what you deserve in life. You get what you negotiate, what you demand, what you refuse to accept less than. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Stop consenting to financial inferiority. Stop training people to undervalue you. The price you set for yourself becomes the price the world pays. But wait, because what comes next changes everything about how you see time. Time currency. Lesson 5 took me 15 years of trading hours for dollars to understand. Time is your only non-renewable currency. You can always make more money. You cannot make more time, ever. Yet most people spend 40 years trading their most precious resource for just enough money to survive until Friday. And they call this stability. The wealthy think about money completely differently. They don't ask how much per hour. They ask, how can I make this hour generate income forever? Time into systems, into perpetual returns. This mental shift alone separates the masses from the millionaires. Every single hour you have two choices. You can spend it or you can invest it. Spending time means trading it for immediate survival. Investing time means building something that continues to pay returns long after the hour is gone. Your relationship with time determines your relationship with wealth. The broke think in hours. The wealthy think in assets. And once you see this distinction, you can never unsee it. But there's another illusion that might be even more costly. Comparison poison. Here's lesson 6, and it's uncomfortable. Comparison is the thief of joy and the murderer of progress. I spent years measuring my chapter 3 against someone else's chapter 20. Social media turned this into an epidemic. Highlight reels versus real life. You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's greatest hits, and it's destroying you. Here's what 20 years taught me. Every single person you admire was once exactly where you are right now. Comparison is the death of joy. The millionaire you're jealous of, they had their season of struggle, their moments of doubt, their years of invisible work. The difference is they didn't stop during those hard seasons because someone else was ahead. Your only competition is who you were yesterday. The moment you internalize this truth, something shifts. You stop running someone else's race. You start building your own path. You go from reactive to intentional, and intention changes everything. Speaking of things that change everything, failure fuel. Lesson 7 redefined success for me. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the pathway to it. Every wealthy person I've studied has a failure count that would make most people quit permanently. They failed more than you've even tried. That's not an insult. It's an observation. And it's the key to everything. Your fear of failure is keeping you from the very attempts that would make you successful. Failures stack into growth, into victory. Edison famously said he didn't fail 1,000 times. He found 1,000 ways that didn't work. But here's what most people miss. He also had the resources to keep trying. And that's the real lesson. Build a life where you can afford to fail repeatedly. 1. Small bets with high learning. 2. Failures you can recover from. 3. Lessons documented and applied. 4. Next attempt better than the last. The wealthy don't succeed more often, they attempt more often. And attempts compound. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. But there's something even more fundamental that makes all this possible. Your inner circle. Lesson 8 was the hardest to accept. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Jim Rohn said this decades ago, and science has proven it repeatedly. Your net worth, your mindset, your vocabulary, your beliefs about what's possible, all of it is being shaped right now by your proximity to certain people. Proximity is power. This doesn't mean abandoning everyone you love. It means being intentional about who influences your thoughts about money and success. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I had to learn this the expensive way. I stayed loyal to relationships that kept me comfortable but not challenged. I avoided people who made me feel inadequate about my ambitions. And that avoidance cost me years of growth. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. The wealthy don't just network for opportunity, they curate their environment for elevation. They understand that mindset is contagious. Is yours worth catching? But here's what ties all of this together. Action addiction. Lesson 9 changed my daily life. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. I read hundreds of books, watched thousands of hours of content, felt inspired constantly, and stayed broke for years. Years, because inspiration without implementation is just procrastination in disguise. The wealthy have a different relationship with information. They don't consume to feel good, they consume to execute. Every book becomes an action item. Every podcast becomes an experiment. Every video becomes a next step. Knowledge plus action equals income. The formula is simple. The discipline is not. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with actions you haven't taken. You don't need more information. You need more implementation. You don't need another course. You need to finish the first one. You don't need motivation. You need movement. Move first, feel later. Motion creates emotion. Action creates clarity, and clarity creates wealth. And this brings us to the final lesson, the one that changed everything. Start now ugly. The final lesson, lesson 10, is the one I wish I'd learned at 20 instead of 40. Start now, start ugly, start imperfect. Perfect is the enemy of started. I waited years for the right time, the right skills, the right circumstances, and you know what I discovered? The right time was always now. The right moment was always this one. Every wealthy person started before they were ready. They built the plane while flying it. They learned by doing, not by waiting. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. Your first attempt will be embarrassing. Good. Your first business might fail. Great. Your first investment might lose money. Perfect. 1. Ugly action beats perfect planning. 2. Experience outweighs theory. 3. Today's mistake is tomorrow's wisdom. 4. Starting beats studying. Because every one of those imperfect attempts is teaching you something that no book, no video, no course ever could. Slow start to explosive growth to inevitable success. The only real failure is never beginning at all. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So there it is. 20 years of lessons. 20 years of struggle, failure, and eventual clarity compressed into minutes for you. Poverty code, comfort trap, fear. The programming that kept you stuck. The comfort that kept you small. The fear that kept you paralyzed. Time currency, failure fuel action. The truths that set you free. But knowing these lessons isn't enough. I knew most of them for years before I actually lived them. The question isn't whether this video was helpful. It's what you're going to do in the next 24 hours because of it. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. Action is power. You now have the map, but the map is not the territory. You have to walk it. If you made it this far, comment 20-year shift to prove you're ready to learn in months what took me decades. Your mind is either programmed for wealth or poverty. Now you know how to reprogram it. If this video exposed something in you, subscribe. There's more to uncover.